Come in and let this be for you, not for anyone else, not to become a better person for the people in your life, not to raise your frequency for the purpose of manifesting more effectively, not even to heal so that you can show up more fully for your work or your relationships or your mission. For you. Purely, simply, without justification, without the need for the self-care to serve a larger purpose that makes it acceptable. Because you deserve it. Because you are worthy of your own attention and your own gentleness and your own care. Because the most fundamental act of this work, the one beneath all the techniques and all the frameworks and all the sincere effort to understand and align and become, is the act of treating yourself as though you matter, as though your well-being is important not as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. Take a breath that is entirely for you. Stay. I want to ask you a question that I want you to answer honestly, without the immediately following rationalization that will arrive the moment you feel the real answer. How well are you taking care of yourself? Not the social media version of self-care, not the bubble bath and the gratitude journal and the morning routine that photographs well. The actual version. The quality of attention you bring to your own interior life. The gentleness with which you speak to yourself in the private moments. The degree to which your own needs are on the list. Not at the bottom, as the thing that gets addressed after everything else has been addressed, but genuinely on the list, genuinely considered, genuinely treated as information worthy of response rather than as inconvenience to be managed. The honest answer for most people doing this work is less well than I would treat someone I loved. That is the gap. Not between where you are and where you want to be in terms of external circumstances. Not between your current life and the life you are building. The gap between the quality of care you extend to the people you love and the quality of care you extend to yourself. If someone you loved was doing what you are doing, working this hard, carrying what you are carrying, navigating what you are navigating, what would you want for them? What would you offer them? What quality of attention and gentleness and support would you believe they deserved? And are you offering that to yourself? In most cases, the answer is no, not even close. The internal voice that speaks to you in the hard moments is not the voice of a loving friend. It is frequently something much harsher. The internal standards you hold yourself to are not the reasonable, humane standards you would apply to someone you cared about. They are frequently something much more demanding. The tolerance you extend to your own struggles and limitations and imperfect days is not the tolerance you would extend to a person you loved who was going through the same things. It is frequently something much less generous. You would not speak to a friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself. You would not hold a person you loved to the standards you hold yourself to. You would not respond to someone else's pain and struggle and imperfection with the impatience and the criticism and the "where are you getting this wrong?" Now that is sometimes your response to your own. There is a name for this gap. The name is the failure of self-compassion. Not failure as in moral wrong or character flaw. Failure as in the absence of something that is genuinely needed and genuinely missing. Something that this work cannot proceed without, and that all the technique and all the framework and all the correct understanding of how reality works cannot substitute for. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It is not the lowering of standards or the acceptance of all behavior without discernment or the sentimental pretense that everything is fine when everything is not fine. It is something much more specific and much more powerful than any of those things. Self-compassion is the capacity to meet your own experience, including the difficult experience, the failing experience, the experience of being exactly the kind of imperfect, struggling, not yet where you want to be human that you sometimes are, with the same quality of warmth and patience and basic human kindness that you would extend to another person in the same situation. Nothing more than that. The same quality you would extend to another person. And what that produces, the research is clear. The lived experience of anyone who has genuinely practiced it is clear, is not complacency, It is not the comfortable settling into insufficiency. It produces, with remarkable consistency, the exact qualities that the harsh inner critic claims to be trying to produce but consistently fails to produce. The capacity for genuine growth, genuine change, genuine movement toward what you most want to become. Because the harsh inner critic, for all its insistence that it is keeping you on track, is actually one of the primary obstacles to the track. The constant self-criticism, the unforgiving standards, the inner voice that meets every imperfection with the implication that it is evidence of fundamental inadequacy. All of that creates a quality of internal environment that makes genuine growth significantly harder, not easier. Growth requires safety, not the absence of challenge. Challenge is necessary and valuable, but the basic psychological safety of an internal environment that treats you as someone whose growth is possible. As someone who is fundamentally okay, even in the middle of imperfect, even in the middle of not yet, even in the middle of still working on it. An internal environment that does not respond to your imperfections by suggesting that the imperfections are who you are rather than things you are working with. That safety is what self-compassion creates. And that safety is what makes the genuine, sustained, productive engagement with your own growth possible in a way that harshness never can. I want to offer you something very concrete and very simple. For the rest of this day, just this day, I want you to practice treating yourself the way you would treat someone you loved who was going through exactly what you are going through. Not permanently, not as a lifelong commitment you have to maintain through willpower, just today. When the inner critic speaks, notice it. Not to suppress it, but to see it clearly as what it is. A voice, not the truth. And then ask, is this what I would say to someone I loved? If the answer is no, and it frequently will be no, try the thing you would actually say to someone you loved instead. Not as a performance, but as an experiment. As an honest inquiry into what it is like to be spoken to by yourself with genuine kindness rather than habitual harshness. When you make a mistake, and you will, because everyone does, every day, notice the response that arrives automatically. The inner voice that immediately characterizes the mistake, assigns it meaning, uses it as evidence for something about your fundamental adequacy or inadequacy. And then ask, is this what I would offer someone I loved who had just made this mistake? And try the other thing, the generous thing, the kind thing, the realistic, honest, but fundamentally compassionate assessment that the mistake is a mistake rather than a verdict. When you are tired, and you may well be, because the kind of work you are doing is genuinely demanding, notice whether your internal response is impatience or care. Whether the tiredness is met with the voice that says, push through. You don't have time for this. You should be further along by now. Or the voice that says, of course you are tired, you have been working hard. Rest is not weakness. Your body's needs are information worth responding to. Just for today, just the experiment. And notice what it does to the quality of the day, to the quality of how you move through the hours, to the quality of the internal environment in which you are doing this work. You deserve your own care, not as a reward for sufficient performance, not as a treat to be earned through enough productivity, not as the thing you get to have once the real work is done, as the foundation, as the internal environment in which the real work becomes possible, as the most fundamental investment you can make in the life you are building, because the person building it needs to be cared for in order to build sustainably, in order to build from wholeness rather than from depletion, in order to build the life you most want rather than the life that a depleted, self-criticizing, not quite convinced of its own worth person is capable of constructing. You are worthy of your own care. That is not conditional on anything, not on your performance or your progress or your level of spiritual development or the quality of your recent days. Unconditional, Because you are a human being doing a genuinely difficult and genuinely important thing. Because you are alive and you are working and you are here, and that is enough to deserve the basic kindness of your own attention. Care for yourself, not because it will produce better manifestations, because you deserve it. Full stop.